The United States, U.S. Navy is the largest and most advanced Navy in the world. The U.S. Navy is one of the 8 uniformed services of the U.S., as well as the Maritime Service branch of the U.S. Armed Forces. The U.S. Navy has everything from aircraft carriers and maritime patrol aircraft to submarine destroyers and helicopters. The United States Navy is a vast fleet of military hardware, ranging from giant aircraft carriers that strikes terror in the heart of the enemy to the size of the silent stealth drones. The United States Navy has established Maritime Supremacy, which operates 11 carrier groups. The United States is in the terrain of the Indo-Pacific, which was fought between the Korean War and the Vietnam War during World War II. United States Indo-Pacific Command, USINDOPACOM, accounts for 60% of the United States Navy, 55% of the United States Army, and 40% of the United States Marine Corps. There are different elements of war. The first element of war is the foot soldiers on the ground with tanks and aircraft. But there is also another element to the war that has been rarely spoken about, which is the Marine branch. Some tensions are rising in the Pacific as China sets its sight on Taiwan, which leads to fear of war, but there is a factor each side should be afraid of: the United States Navy, the unsung peacekeepers of the world and its oceans. Here are 5 reasons why anyone should not mess with the United States Navy. The United States Armed Forces. The United States Armed Forces is one of the 8 United States uniformed services, as well as the Air Service branch of the U.S. Armed Forces. The USAF is created in the year 1907 as a part of the U.S. Army. The United States Armed Forces was established as a separate branch of the USAF in the year 1947 with the passing of the National Security Act of 1947. The United States Armed Force has deployed F-15, F-22, and F-16 fighter aircraft. The USAF has air refueling aircraft at Guam, as well as B-1 and B-2 bombers. The United States Air Force has more than 13,000 combat aircraft, which is twice the Chinese and Russian Air Force combined. In the year 1983, F-117 Nighthawk, the world's first stealth aircraft, was introduced with a radar cross-section of 0.018 square feet. The same technology was used to build the flagships of the United States Air Force, like the F-22 Raptor, the intimidating B-2 Spirit, and the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. The production of the first Raptor began at the end of the last century, while Russia and China got their stealth fighters, which are Su-57 and Chengdu J-70 respectively. The United States is modernizing the 4th-generation aircraft that is upgraded F-15EX, which can carry 13.4 tons of payload. It seems like the United States will be the first to get 6th-generation fighters in service, as well as the first full-fledged prototype with a complete set of equipment, which is expected to be unveiled in the future. And by the year 2025, it will be in the arsenal of the Navy. The United States Navy. The United States Navy, also known as USN, is the largest and most powerful Navy in the world. The USN has an estimated tonnage of the battle fleet, which exceeds the next 13 navies that were combined. These 13 navies include 11 United States allies or partner nations in 2015. In the year 2021, the United States Navy is inferior to the Navy of the People's Republic of China. The nuclear-powered aircraft carriers are the Royal Pride and the symbol of power for the United States Navy. The United States Navy has 11 Nimitz-class aircraft carriers, in which there is an addition of a new class of aircraft carrier ships, known as the USS Gerald R. Ford in the United States Navy. The Aviation Brigade of the United States Navy consists of some squadrons of fighter attack aircraft, airborne radars, maritime surveillance aircraft, as well as AWACS. The U.S. Navy has 70 to 90 aircraft on alert, which are capable of operating in all weather conditions. The strike group is made of cruisers, aircraft carriers, submarines, and destroyers, which is America's projection of power in the world's oceans. In the middle of the 1980s, the United States Navy cruisers, destroyers, and frigates performed an excellent role in guarding the aircraft carrier ship. However, in 1980, with the advent of Aegis, was not able to carry out missile strikes on land, whereas previously the U.S. Navy's main strike capability was combat aircraft. Ohio submarines are the backbone of the United States Strategic Nuclear Offensive Force, which is equipped with deadly Trident II D5 missiles in addition to their long range of 7,020 miles. The target of Ohio submarines is undetectable, and the availability of these weapons ensures that the potential opposition could not take advantage of their nuclear escalation, as well as make the use of nuclear weapons against the United States. Arleigh Burke class guided missile destroyer. The Arleigh Burke class of guided missile destroyers, also known as DDGs, is the U.S. Navy class of destroyer that was built around the SPY-1D and the Aegis Combat System. These systems have a multifunction passive electronically scanned array system. The Arleigh Burke class destroyer is the most balanced and capable ship which is fielded by the modern Navy. It was named after the legendary World War II. The Burke class is the backbone of the fleet, which has 62 vessels. The heart of the Burke class combat system is the Aegis radar system that can direct many air defense missiles against the incoming targets. The Arleigh Burke class destroyer has 4 separate flights. The first variant is DDG's 5171, which is the original design, as well as designated as Flight 1. The second variant is DDG's 7278, which are known as Flight 2 ships, and the third variant is DDG's 79124 and DDG 127, which are Flight 2A ships. The last variant of the Burke class destroyer is the DDGs 125, 126 and DDG 128, known as Flight 3. The modern Burke class is heavily armed, with conventional guns that are 5-inch 127mm guns. The ship will be the longest class in production ever fielded by the United States Navy. The Arleigh Burke class guided missiles was commissioned in 1990, and the production is expected to continue for more than 15 years. EA-18 Growler electronic attack aircraft. The Boeing EA-18 Growler electronic aircraft is an American carrier-based aircraft that is a specialized version of the two-seats FA-18F Super Hornet. The EA-18 Growler aircraft replaced the Northrop Grumman EA-6B Prowlers, which were in the service with the United States Navy. The production of the EA-18 Growler aircraft began in the year 2007, and in 2009, the EA-18 Growlers entered the operational services with the United States Navy. The EA-18 Growlers have 3 capabilities. The first capability of the Growlers is that it can conduct suppression of enemy air defense missions in support of drones, which can jam communications and enemy radars on the ground, as well as attack radars with anti-radar harm missiles. The second capability is that EA-18 Growlers can conduct an escort jamming against air defense on the ground enemy through airborne early morning platforms. The last capability of the EA-18 Growler aircraft is the non-traditional attack, which is a mysterious capability of the Growlers. This capability allows the Growlers to integrate with ground defenses. It can also self-protect, which allows fighters to escort. The EA-18 Growler is as fast as an F-18F and can also carry AMRAAM air-to-air missiles for defensive use. The EA-18 Growler have been delivered in May 2014, and another 15 aircraft have been approved. Drones. The United States is the undisputed leader in the field of military drones. The presence of such drones in service allows them to perform various missions, as well as from patrolling the border to conducting strikes with guided air bombs. In January 2014, the United States military operates many unmanned aerial systems, also known as UAVs or drones. Some of the UAVs are 990 AeroVironment WASP-3s, 7,362 RQ-11 Ravens, 491 RQ Shadows, 126 MQ-9 Reapers, and 1,137 AeroVironment RQ-20 Pumas, 246 MQ-1 Predators, 306 RQ-16 T-Hawk, and 33 RQ-4 Global Hawk. The main advantage of the drones is the cost, as it is cheaper than the fighter jets and the ability to control them remotely. The MQ-9 Reapers was used in the combat operations against the leader of the terrorist groups in the year 2012 and 2016. The United States was the first to use drones on aircraft carriers. Another unmanned aerial refueling aircraft, the Boeing MQ-25 Stingray, was tested back in the year 2019 and is expected to enter the service soon. The drone carries approximately 6,800 kilograms of fuel for a range of up to 580 miles. This allows the United States Navy aircraft to refuel in the air without having to land on the aircraft carrier.